Joining me now, David Bruno and Lisa Giovinazzo join me to sort of sort through this. So you heard her clearly saying where, in the head and in the bedroom, but you don't hear the why. And when it comes to kids, is the why different when it comes to adults versus kids? I mean, motive doesn't seem to matter so much for adults in a trial, but doesn't it make all the difference for kids, David?
Well, there is mitigating circumstances with children. Just the tender age of a child presents a mitigating circumstance. So this girl does, the motive will impact how this goes forward.
And with the juvenile system, because right now she is, it's aggravated murder, but there is this whole juvenile concoction that they have, assessed, and she may actually apply for something called the SYO sentence, the serious youth offender, which means you may be a kid, but you are going to jail for life. You're going to prison for life if you're convicted of this. But would motive make a difference? Say, for instance, if a young person were being beaten or abused or assaulted in some way?
Yeah, no, absolutely, because right now prosecutors are trying to put this case together and determine what actually happened, because they have a decision to make. And even though this person is 14 and a juvenile, a prosecutor can treat them as an adult and make a formal motion to the court to treat the individual as an adult. So when we talk about motive and why this happened, certainly that's going to be a relevant question for prosecutors, because there's a difference between somebody that's maybe been abused and had provocation versus a cold-blooded killer that just killed their father.
So the other thing I was fascinated in this call, it is so informative to hear what she says to this dispatcher. And congratulations to the dispatcher for getting so much of this information. The dispatcher was able to elicit that this girl was scared. Not so much about what had just happened, but more about where she was headed. Have a listen.
What happened?
I don't know.
You don't know what happened? You just shot him? What?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I don't want to go to jail. I'm not going to go to jail.
What?
I'm not going to go to jail.
I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Lisa, I'm scared about going to jail. Am I going to jail? Oh, God, I don't want to go to jail. For a grown-up, it's a death knell, but what about a kid?
You know what? The kid is scared on the tape. You can hear it in her voice. And we don't know the background behind this. There was a compelling reason for her to do this. I mean, she loaded a gun. She shot her father. People don't just shoot their parents openly. Like you'll hear, remember back on Menendez, they were sleeping. It was a very egregious act, but for a child to feel compelled or frightened enough to have this kind of action, we need to find out what's behind it. Was there any diminished capacity for the child? Is there any mental illness? And, there are some red flags coming up where the shooting occurred.
The bedroom.
Why
Could be
she
anything.
is very contrite. I mean, she seems to understand
And
that
stayed there, waited there, didn't flee, didn't run, no consciousness of guilt in that sense. So David and Lisa, does this make any difference as to the he said, she said? If one says I was pushed over the edge and the other says I'd been abused for years, does it make any difference at this point?
Well, it's a battered wife defense, and what happened to the husband isn't necessarily the question. She has to substantiate the battered wife syndrome, which says that she's been abused for years. There are a lot of domestic relations orders in the past. There is an order of protection. And when they took her children away, right, many mothers have a very visceral reaction to the protection of their children. And this could have been a trigger for her. That would be the claim in a battered wife syndrome case.
I get all that, but David, does that make any difference when you allegedly stab the father of your children right in front of them? Again, I'm going all back to what happened in front of those kids.
Yeah, no, and it does, because there's a difference between a murder, an intentional, knowingly murder, versus the manslaughter. Because I would bet that defense attorneys are going to make an argument that she was provoked and that it amounts to a downgrade of the murder itself to the reckless manslaughter. So motive, it goes back to motive, and we started the show with it in the first case. But yes, it's important for prosecutors to nail it down and make these arguments to the jury. Difference between murder and
and and the lawyers can argue it all out, but ultimately we have two kids tonight who will never have their life back. Dad is dead, and mom is likely not going to be looking after them. So it's tragedy all around. I have another update to a story that we brought you last